Welcome, everyone. We're here today to celebrate the life of Siegfried Weidner, known to you all as Fred, and I thank you all for being here. My name's Paul Young, and I'm a celebrant. And for myself and Megan from Parsons Funerals, our condolences to Fred's family and friends. There are no words of comfort that can cushion the shock experience when one is faced with the loss of a loved one, but we can all be a support for each other throughout this grieving process. I'd like to make it clear that we're here today to celebrate Fred's life rather than to mourn his death. Don't think of him as gone away. His journey's just begun. Life holds so many facets. This earth is only one. Just think of him as resting from the sorrow and the tears in a place of warmth and comfort where there are no days or years. Think how he must be wishing that we could know today how nothing but our sadness can really pass away. And think of him as living in the hearts of those he touched, for nothing loved is ever lost, and he was loved so much. To start the tributes off today, I would like to ask Fred's daughter-in-law, Janine, to please come forward.
Born in Ebersbach on der Vils, Germany in 1944 and named Siegfried, but to us he was Fred, Freddie and Dad. He has a younger brother named Ulrich, known as Uli, currently residing in Germany. The war was still raging when he was born, and his grandfather was caught up in 2 world wars, and things were pretty bad for the family at that time. As a boy, Fred and his friends often made snowballs and fired them at people's doorbells and then run away. He also skied or tobogganed down the snowy slopes near his home and played soccer in his short lederhosen shorts on the icy cold snowy soccer field. As a teenager, he completed his trade apprenticeship in fitting and turning and then bravely migrated to Australia as an 18-year-old to avoid conscription. Army or working in a nursing home were the only options. He flew to Australia, making 6 stops along the way, and landed in Sydney with only a suitcase and 60 pounds in his pocket, taking up temporary residence with his aunt in Katingal near Tamworth. He quickly learnt enough English to get his driver's licence. He practised the answers without any clue to what they really meant. Coming from cold Germany in December to the hot Tamworth sun, he found it very difficult on his first job, as his first job was working outdoors at an engineering workshop in the sweltering 40-degree sun. He then got himself a job with Keith Singh Construction and liked this very much. He travelled on light aircraft to the remote country areas to repair earth-moving equipment. With no airports in sight, the plane had to land on dirt roads where Fred was asked to keep a lookout for electric wires and poles. On several occasions, Fred and his boss would fly all the way from Tamworth to Lismore just to pick up some fish and chips. They must have been great fries. Around this time, he met Erica at the Tamworth Workmen's Club, where a dance brought them together. He's not a dancer at heart, but he did his best, poor chap. But whatever the style, it must have worked. He then bought a small 5-acre block of land outside Tamworth and proceeded to build himself a small cottage where he later proposed to Erica. Fred then changed jobs again to earn extra money, this time at a flour mill, which offered lots of overtime to help with the mortgage. He then purchased an older house, and on his wedding day, he carried his new bride across the threshold to spend their first night together on a mattress on the bedroom floor. Not enough money to buy furniture, of course. A few years passed and things got much better. He was able to get a better job at the local base hospital and loved it from the start. It was a rough start, though, as his boss gave him a rotten reference that was full of lies because he didn't want to lose Fred. However, Erica, in her capacity as secretary to the CEO, was able to sway her boss and reveal the truth, and Fred subsequently landed the job. Fred absolutely enjoyed his job. He worked in the maintenance department on the hospital air conditioners, steam boilers and large washing machines. He was a hard worker, or so he said, well organised and disciplined, and rarely had a day off in his 40 years. Fred was Mr. Fix-It, and he often said in times of trouble, "Never fear, Fred is here." Soon after this, Andrew arrived, and Fred was the happiest new dad in the world. He let everybody know. He loved that little baby, and life was wonderful. With a growing family, Fred proceeded to design his brand new house. He bought a nice plot in East Tamworth, and the build began. He worked hard to complete the house by the imminent deadline, and by the time it was finished, son David arrived, and in the following week, the new baby and family began life in their new home together. Fred loved the family life and kept the boys busy, teaching them how to do stuff, including welding, repairing old motors, making model aeroplanes, and sailing. Fred loved the sailing, and on one occasion he flipped the catamaran and tipped both boys into the Pacific Ocean. Poor Erica was left panicking on the shore, but with some help the boat was salvaged and the boys lived to tell the tale. Many different motorised machines were produced in the Weidner workshop, ranging from lawnmower-powered scooters and many different go-karts. The various contraptions were tested on the local streets, much to the disgust of the next-door neighbour, who was a policeman. Testing and commissioning was mostly completed after the neighbour went to work, then it was game on. Fred travelled to Germany every few years to visit his parents, taking some of his family with him every time. Later, he did lots of overseas trips with Erica and enjoyed exploring the world. Fred finally retired from the hospital kicking and screaming after 40 years of loyal service and decided to move to Wollongong to be near the family. His two wonderful sons made him very happy, and he followed their achievements with interest and pride. He was at the pinnacle of his life, ending up close to his family, and was finally blessed with two beautiful grandchildren, one from each of his sons. Fred was a great friend to many, a top dad, a loving husband, and will be missed immensely. Love you, Fred.
I'd just like to share with you some thoughts on two very important things that turn into one when we lose our loved ones. They being grief and love. And I want to start by saying we should never fear to grieve. Those tears that you shed, feelings of loss that you have, they just tell me and all of us what we already know. And that is how much Fred was loved and how much he'll be missed. In fact, those tears and those feelings, they're a privilege because we don't grieve for those not loved or respected. And you're all here today because you loved and respected Fred in your own special ways. We cannot think of his death without resolving to live a fuller and a more meaningful life of our own. And grief takes on many forms. We grieve for those that we've lost, but we also grieve for opportunities we might miss throughout a person's life. And sometimes we grieve for things we've said or things we regret we didn't get to say. So we should always remember to take those opportunities in life whilst we have them, to do the little things, like sit and talk or share or cry, but more importantly, we should take the time to laugh and to love and to encourage and to celebrate with all those that we feel closest to, because there is no time like the present. And we've all lost loved ones. And over the years, wonderful memories come back to us from those we've lost. And it'll be the little things that'll do it. It'll be the smell of an aftershave, or a certain place, or a certain time of the year. You know, it'll be flicking through the photo album. It'll be a touch, it'll be a word, but more often than not, memories come back to us in the words or the tune of a song. And all those things on their own are small and insignificant until we put them together with memories of someone no longer with us. And then it's the little things that we hold on to the most, because those little things are our link or our connection between those of us that are here and those that are past. So whenever Fred comes into your mind, recall those special personal qualities that made this man so unique. And now to share with us their tribute to their dad, I'd like to ask Andrew and David to please come forward.
Thanks, Paul. I've asked Jeff to be my wingman today, in case I can't get through this. Okay, I'd like to read a letter to Dad from his boys, Andrew and David. Our dad was a great father. He loved his kids and he did everything he could do to help us be successful. Our dad had endless energy and was definitely not the sit around it and chat about it type. He could sit for 10 minutes maximum, and then Dad was off again. Whether it was to fix the gate, walk the dogs, play tennis, mow the grass, prune the frangipanis, fix the bike, wash the car, chop the tree, he was off. Dad was a clean and tidy individual, and if he could write Mum's name on the dusty handrail at home, he knew it was time for a clean-up. I remember as kids that he would bring the wheelie bin into our bedrooms and not move it until it was filled up. If you were missing your special broken-in socks, you know, the ones with the holes in the front, then sure enough, you could go down to the wheelie bin and retrieve them. You just had to be prepared for the awkward moment when Dad noticed that the socks were back from the dead. I thought I got rid of those. Dad was a true leader of the family. He had many things planned, and he would often ask us, "What would you like to do today?" However, if your plan did not align with Dad's, then resistance was futile. It was back to Lake Keep at Dam near Manila, or a drive to Chaffey Dam, or climb Flagstaff Mountain. Again! Dad loved his gardening and enjoyed watering the plants after a hard, or so he said, day at work. He was always chopping down trees. As soon as they reached around 3 metres, they quickly became firewood. He was so organised, though, that he pre-planted the next tree, so it was already growing before he chopped the first tree, so the backyard didn't look like the Sahara Desert. Looking back, we all know that he was just trying to save a buck and avoid the arborists. We know how much they are. One year, he wanted a chainsaw for Christmas. To our surprise, he wanted an electric one, not petrol, as most would think. This was his ingenious plan to cut down trees by stealth. They couldn't catch him if they couldn't hear the chainsaw. Dad was also a proud Australian. He rocked the terry toweling hat, he loved his Holden Commodores, and especially with the German pinstripe down the side, of course, and enjoyed a nice T-bone steak cooked on his hand-built wood-fired barbecue. He also loved his house as his castle and enjoyed keeping the house in tip-top condition. But Dad was a German through and through. He enjoyed a good brew or two, playing the piano accordion, and loved shopping at Aldi. An exciting day for Dad. An exciting day for Dad was to go down to Aldi's, pick up the $5 shovel, a box of pretzels, a ski jacket, and a case of German beer. I always found it funny because the shovel broke on its first use, he doesn't even ski, and the beer is alcohol-free. As kids growing up, we had a pet cat called Pussy Will. As young tormenting boys, we certainly tested the 9-life theory and can now say that it is true. But we longed for a dog, but Dad wasn't a dog person. We negotiated with him that when the cat dies, we could have a dog. Boy, did that cat get looked after. With a nutritious diet of liver, fresh produce and plenty of love, the bloody cat lived to 17 years old. As we left home to start our new lives in Wollongong, Dad finally bought that dog. And when I returned to visit, to my surprise, the man that hated dogs had grown to love the new dog. Not only did he let the dog inside the house, but he let the dog walk on his 25-year-old beloved shag pile carpet and even sit on the lounge next to him. For those of you that have seen the movie The Castle, Dad was a true ideas man. Instead of buying a water tank to collect rainwater, as most would do, Dad invented a scoop system that he placed in the gutter at the front of the house to collect water. During rain, he would rush out, set up an elaborate system of pipes and chutes and send the water back to his garden. Dad also invented a system to collect shower water in a tank to use on his garden. One year I went back for Christmas and I peed in the shower. Then he happened to mention to me about his new invention. And I was shocked that this tank would smell like urine and I would be caught. I think I got away with that one. Dad was the master of a foreign order. If you don't know what that means, it's doing a job at work, a personal job. His boss is here today, so since he worked in a hospital, there was an endless supply of shiny, expensive stainless steel, and combined with the other trades, he had electricians, plumbers, and carpenters. No project for home, of course, was any trouble. Dad made lots of things for the family, but his most famous stainless steel garbage bins were his most innovative. He even designed it to suit a Woolies shopping bag, so you didn't have to buy garbage bags. Dad had a huge tool collection, and being boys, we wanted to build cubby houses and a host of other contraptions. Dad kept the tools under tightly guarded lock and key, but we worked out a way to shimmy the lock and open up the treasure trove of fine quality tools. Loads of screws and nails of all shapes and sizes. The challenge was to ensure that the tools went back exactly where we found them, quickly before he got home from work. Although we thought we had outsmarted our dad, reflecting now, he had come up with a novel way for kids to put things away without having to ask them 1,000 times. In closing, we will certainly miss our dad. We thank him for shaping our lives so that we too could be successful, live in a great country as Australia is, and raise our own families here in safety. Miss you, Dad, David and Andrew.
I have a letter, an email that was sent to the family from Fred's brother, Ulrich, in Germany. And I'll read it as if he were up here reading it himself. They did send me 2 copies. They gave me one and they said, "Can you just read this out, please?" And it's all in German. Can't understand a word. I looked at it and thought, here we go. I've done many things, but this is going to be a first. Thank goodness they transcribed it for me. A letter from Uli. Dear Erica, Andrew and David, with families and dear mourners. As I've got the bad news about the death of my brother Siegfried, I was deeply hit and very shocked. 3 weeks ago, we talked on the phone about my planned visit to you all in Wollongong next year in February. Siegfried was happy having had moved together with Erica from Tamworth down to Corrimal to be closer with the family. He was enjoying his retirement and new surroundings and willingly volunteered his time to help out each morning at David's warehouse. As Siegfried emigrated 54 years ago from Germany, I was actually glad to be the only son at home. During your visits back to Germany, I thoroughly enjoyed your company. The only thing is that afterwards, I had to pay for all the speeding tickets he got because I was the car owner. But it doesn't matter, as he had no experience with the wrong-sided German traffic. In particular, I'm hit about the fact that exactly 2 years ago, my wife Alonka faded away. In addition, the passing of Siegfried is terrible. It is a pity Wollongong is not around the corner from Sparweissen, so I am not able to be here with you at the funeral. But a promise is a promise, and I will visit you all in the beginning of 2017. In deep mourning, my thoughts are with Erica and the whole family. Love, Ulrich. And I would now like to invite, people have come a long way. Before I invite you forward, Mick, people have come a long way. And it shows the respect in which Fred was held, that people have travelled down from Tamworth today to be here. And I'd like to invite Fred's boss, former boss, Mr. Mick Page, to please come forward.
Hello, my name's Michael Page. I met Fred in April of 1983. Now, Fred and myself share a birthday. I don't know whether Erica knew that, but the 15th of April is a shared birthday. So that's something new. Now, talking of birthdays, Fred's been on the 15th of April. We'd buy each other a coffee at work for our birthday presents, but the girls in the CSSD department at the hospital had different ideas. So every 15th of April, they set up a little plan to get Fred to get up there so one of the girls could come out and give Fred a big kiss. And his hardest thing of the day was trying to avoid getting called up to CSSD. He'd say, Tony, you must go there. Or, anybody but me. I have work to do in the boiler house. I've got to go elsewhere. But no, Fred had to go and have his kiss. One other thing is, as we all know, Fred was very careful with money at home, but at the hospital, he didn't seem to worry too much. His favourite saying at the hospital, never mind, we will buy a new one. They said that was a new one. But one occasion I remember, Fred's washing machine was playing up, and he wanted a part for it, and he went down the street to cost this part. And he says, they want the price of a new washing machine just for the part. He says, I will go up to the local tip and see what I can find up at the tip. So off he trots to the tip, and unbeknown to Fred, the tip's all changed from how it was in the old days, where you'd go up and help yourself or dump. Now, at our tip, there's a shop. You can buy better. And so Fred into the shop goes, exactly what he wants, the switch on the washing machine. So Fred says, I will take the washing machine. You'll have to pay for that. I don't know what money changed hands, but Fred had to pay for it. And he haggled and argued and fought and screamed. Anyway, he bought the washing machine, took it down to work, got the switch out of it, fitted into your washing machine, Erica, and it worked perfectly. So he thought, I'll take the washing machine back. So he takes the washing machine back, takes it to them there. How much will you give me for this washing machine? And they said, no, you have to donate it. But he said, I just paid good money to you to buy it, and now you want it for nothing to sell to somebody else. He says, that does not seem fair. But anyway, he had to leave the washing machine there. Another instance, we were going to Gosford Hospital, Fred and myself, to look at some machinery. And I said to Fred, it's a fair way and we don't know how long it's going to take. We better leave early. He said, a good idea. He said, you pick me up at 7. I said, no. I said, what about 5? 5, he said. That's the middle of the bloody night. Anyway, I picked him up at 5 and I said to Fred, I'm going to give you a little treat on the way down here. I said, instead of going on the highway through Cessnock, we'll take the little road through the wineries. I said, and I'll show you a nice little pub there, which is Harrigan's Irish Pub. So off we trot into there. 2 pints of Guinness later, we're ready to face Gosford. So off we go to Gosford. On the way back, 2 more pints of Guinness in the thing there. And I think from then on, whenever Erica and you went down that way, Harrigan's Pub. No, I've got one other thing. I forgot what the other one was now. yeah, let's been to Harrigan's Pub. It's the birthday, there's the pub. There was that many little instances with him throughout the time, and it was never like a boss-employee relationship. It was more like, you think me being a Pommy and him a German would be lobbing hand grenades at each other, but we got on pretty well, really. No, I can't think of it. That's about all I've got to say. But thank you, Erica, for the chance to say a few words. My pleasure.
You got 5 steps to remember what it is. We've heard some stories. And you all have your own memories of Fred, just as you all share different parts of his life. And each of those memories, they'll always be yours. No one can take those away from you. And they come together to form part of the mesh that make up who you are. So I'd like to ask you now to take this opportunity to reflect upon those times. You may want to use this time to say your own prayers or just to say goodbye. We'll now have a photo presentation. now on behalf of Erica, I'd like to invite Andrew to please come forward.
These words prepared by Erica, they're really nice. They're for Fred. My Fred. Okay, my Fred, to me, he was everything. Always there for me and our boys, and never flinching in his efforts to steer our boat in the right direction. I guess some would say we're a bit of an odd couple, a German boy and an Irish Colleen, and I guess they were right. But hey, what did it matter? We were always happy and always there for each other. His dream was for us to be completely independent and self-supporting in every way, and we achieved this together. Fred, we are all missing you sorely and are so sad that you have gone to a better place before us and our beautiful lives have been shattered. Our move to Wollongong proved to be the best decision we ever made. After all, family is truly everything, and I'm so grateful to you for being my tower of strength, and complete with your little funny ways. You were just right for me. We never did get to sit on the beach for hours and watch the waves and eat ice cream. You always said that you were not ready for the deck chair yet. Always so active and on the go, and after each holiday we were always exhausted and needed a holiday. Fred, one thing for sure is that you won't have to eat that dreaded nursing home soup or sit around in a lounge with a rug over your knees. Love you and miss you terribly. Thank you.
Let us bow our heads and pray. I invite you to join me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. The event of death has a way of uniting us that no other human experience does. It reminds us of the fragile nature of our relationships. It reminds us of the special and unique way in which we relate to those people who cross our pathways in life. And I believe that reflecting on our past, our history, brings knowledge, comfort, and a sense of identity. It is now time to return Fred back to Mother Earth, as we notice from where all life comes and to where all life returns. We're all grateful for the life he lived and all that he meant to his family and his friends. May any regrets that we feel today be turned into gratitude for the time shared with Fred. And may the chill of darkness of death give way to the warmth and the sunshine of his memory to be cherished forever. His beliefs, his actions, efforts, thoughts, and deeds. And so we let him go to be with loved ones, family, and friends. But for all of us here, this celebration of Fred's life is not meant as a goodbye. You see, for you, it should be a thank you. A thank you to Fred for all those memories. A thank you for his hard work, for his love, for his laughter, for his friendship. But most importantly, thank you to Fred just for being himself. He leaves this world a far richer place than he found it. And I'd like to conclude this service with these words. When I come to the end of the road and the sun has set for me, I want no rights in a gloom-filled room. My cry for a soul set free. Miss me a little, but not too long, and not with your heads bowed low. Remember the love that we once shared. Miss me, but let me go. This is a journey that we all must take, and each must go alone. It's all a part of the Master's plan, a step on the road to home. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that can, will you please stand? Let us now leave this place in the quietness of Fred's memory. We offer our love and our support to family and friends You're all invited to the adjoining tea rooms, then later to the family home at 15 Spinks Road in East Corrimal to share your memories and your stories. I won't be closing the curtains today. If anyone would like to come forward as you leave the chapel to say your goodbyes, you're invited to do so.